I am the disabled guy with the disabled life. That podcast is going to be about disabled issues and other things that interest me and others from the disabled community. I did this so that people understand what we go through in life and what we do, because a lot of what we do, it is interesting. I'm also going to talk a little bit about ADA and things of that nature. It's something that's very important to me and something that I learned a lot about when I did an episode. I'm going to talk more about it. Okay. This podcast, it's going to come out at 10 p.m. Saturday and Wednesday. So that's when I think most people listen. Most people listen at night or have the episodes there for the daytime. So let me stop this. Stop. Okay, what I'm going to talk about today is finding your voice. Let me talk here. As a child, I felt that I didn't have a voice. I felt that my family wasn't listening to me, and that's normal because for any child, but for a disabled child, it's worse. But then, as I grew up and I became a young teenager and a little bit younger than that, 10 years old, I decided. My dad would come home from work at certain times stressed out. So I saw a pattern. So I would ask my mom. I said, Mom, is he going to this place? I'm not going to say which place it was. So, and she would say yes. I would stay out of the way, and things worked out. So I realized that finding out what is going on in my world, what was and continues to be important, because if we don't know what's around in our world, we have problems. And so now, going back to this, as I grew up, I started getting my voice back. As I was doing volunteer work, I am, for those of you who don't know, I'm an amateur radio examiner. I'm an amateur radio operator and an examiner, which means we have proctoring privileges to give amateur radio exams. So I had to quickly learn as an examiner. I had to get my adult voice really quickly because for example, if we don't like what's going on, if we think there's cheating or talking or something, we're the ones that are the American Radio Relay League representatives, which we are. So we are the ones responsible for assessing. So we're ultimately responsible for that. So we have to be aware of the rules that we have to follow. That's when I started to find my voice. Then during the COVID, all those volunteer opportunities were closing. So I decided, okay, let me do a podcast. I didn't know how to do it, but how I started the podcast. How I started the podcast is I started on a tablet. I didn't know anything. I didn't have a way of editing it. I didn't have anything of this. So then I said, oh no. So then, I decided that I wanted to improve my audio quality, like we all do, sorry. And so I bought the computer, and I bought a Zoom PodTrack before, which is what I'm using right now. And, I started doing it, and I realized that what I am doing, I was getting a passion for it. The way I found out that I had a passion for it is I felt bad when I could not record. So the next thing that happened was, wait, before I bought the recorder, I was recording directly into Spotify for podcasters, which now you cannot do. Now it's no. Now it acts more like it's an uploader. It's a podcast host that's just an uploader, which is okay. So yeah. So then I bought the recorder and I started using that, and then I started editing. And due to a friend of mine, I got turned. No, first I started with GarageBand because that was free on my computer. I thought that was work, but I quickly found that was too hard, too much work. It was because it just was too many steps to use it as an editor, basically. Because that's built more for music, and you have to build templates, etc., etc. So I was chatting with a friend of mine, Mama D from Pedals of Support, and she recommended Audacity, which is still what I use to this day, and I love it because it's still built for music, yes, but it is more. I can quickly go in there and use it as an editor and do the effects that I want to do and export my files, and that works. So I feel it's important for the disabled community to have a voice. And caregivers, parents, don't take your children's voices away. A lot of times the Latin parents will do that. That to me, I luckily didn't have that situation occur. Luckily I didn't have that situation occur with my family. But a lot of Latin parents they don't have to be disabled. It can be anybody. It can be any child. Oh no, don't talk about that. I know there's things that parents don't want to say for their kids. I understand that. But there are things, depending on the age and appropriateness, you should tell them and try to include them in family decisions when that is important, when you're able to do that. Let me say it that way, because it's, even though as a 10-year-old child, they have some autonomy, and that's something that we as adult people, I don't struggle with that, because for example, if I want to go somewhere, I go. I have STS, even though I know that's not the best solution, but that's the only solution we have right now. The best solution is super expensive. It is a taxi. Don't get me wrong. If I get stranded, I will call one. Luckily now, they have wheelchair accessible taxis. So yeah, it's gotten easier, but you do have to pay full price. No problem. If you get stranded, you're going to do what you're going to do. So I say, advocate. And with that, thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to my episodes. My episode will come out Monday and Wednesday. You can listen to me on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and many others, including iHeartRadio. The reason I've done this podcast is to give people a voice, because I think that the disabled community is missing a voice, but I am in a unique position of being able to afford minimal equipment to do this. I'm going to give you my email address. If you want to contact me, is ke4key@gmail.com. And you can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook, at The Disabled Guy, and in a few other places.